Welcome to another episode of the WWC podcast, and I am going to start out by saying thank you once again for tuning in, and I hope you are enjoying the podcast. I hope you're following the Twitter at We Are The WWC, and also my personal Twitter is at MONNORCATHIAS, Monarchathias. Any of your topics or questions that you would like me to go over, please refer to those links. I have those in all the bios on Anchor and on Spotify and everything. So, without further ado, let's get right into the episode. Alrighty, so I am ready to go over pretty much everything that happened this week in wrestling. It is Friday, or it's almost Friday. I am recording this. It's 9:18 p.m. Thursday night. I've been feeling a little under the weather, I'm not going to lie. Today, I got this little sinus thing going on where I just can't seem to clear my throat. So, no matter what, I'm chugging along. I am going to be doing this podcast. The reason I waited to put out an episode today instead of yesterday is because I wanted to watch AEW before I put out an episode. So, I think I'm just going to start doing that from now on. So, Thursdays will be the first episode of the week, and then I think I'm going to start doing one on Saturdays. That way, no matter what, if there's a pay-per-view on a Sunday, which there's going to be this Sunday, which is Fastlane, that way I'll be able to put my predictions in there and also go over what happens on SmackDown or anything that happened in between. And, I think it's just going to be a Thursday and a Saturday thing. So, if you guys like that idea, let me know. Don't be afraid to send me your questions and topics. I love doing that. The first and the second one were awesome. I love doing little bits of research on stuff that I may or may not know, just to make sure, I got to do the research. So, less of me rambling on here. Let's get into what happened with AEW this week. I just got to say, this is probably the best Dynamite out of 2021. 100%. This whole episode was good, minus one thing, which I'll get into in a second, which isn't even that big of a deal whatsoever, just me being nitpicky. I thoroughly enjoyed this entire episode, start to finish. I'm like, me and a couple of my friends, well, mainly just me and one other friend, we're sort of not fickle, but we expect more from AEW, which I think everybody kind of is that way. Whether we like it or not, we see WWE. We've watched WWE for so long, and it's hard to watch a company that may have those missteps that WWE don't have. So, it's easy to criticize AEW right now. They've only been around for 2 years, if that. So, like I said, this is one of the best episodes of AEW. Not only in general, but this was the best episode in 2021, I believe. It started off with Cody versus Penta, which was an awesome match, a really good match. Cody ended up rolling Penta up for the win, and then Penta attacked Cody for, I don't know, like 10 seconds, something like 10, 15 seconds. And Dustin Rhodes and then the Gun Club come out to the ring and fend off Penta. There's a little hilarious shot where Pentagon's got a leprechaun hat on, and he's like got his tongue out, and he's making a face, and it's just hilarious. And he walks off, and then QT Marshall comes out. So they're continuing this storyline with QT Marshall, where he just doesn't care about the Nightmare family anymore, which is the whole faction of Nightmare Factory members. I don't know what it is. Like, it's just a bunch of Cody Rhodes friends, basically. I think that's what it is, honestly. But, yeah, good match. Cool little angle. I'm curious what they're going to do with this QT Marshall thing, because it might bring Dustin back into the picture where he's working on TV or doing a pay-per-view match, which is always cool. Dustin Rhodes is always going to be good in wrestling. He's going to make whoever's in the ring look better no matter what. So that would be a good match to have. And then, before I get into anything else, because I've got 3 main things from this episode that I really liked. I'll just go over kind of really quickly what they did during the rest of the show. They had a big 8-man tag match, or maybe a 6-man, but either way, AEW does these matches way too often. Like, the 8-man tag match is done, or should be done, I should say. Should be done very rarely. It should be a thing like around Survivor Series, which is 5-on-5, or right before WrestleMania, which is WWE, but I just don't get these big random huge tag team matches. They're entertaining, really cool stuff happens in them, but it's kind of just like filler for everything. But that was really the only thing where I'm just nitpicky about that. I noticed a lot of other people on Twitter can agree with me on it, but like I said, it's not that big of a deal. Like, that's why they put it at the front of the show, towards the front of the show. So, oh well. Jade Cargill had a match, and this is her second match, apparently, her in AEW. I didn't know that she literally actually debuted with Shaq. She never wrestled a house show or anything like that. I didn't know she was actually that new. She looks good. She is like a bodybuilder or something. She works slow because obviously she is not as technical as she could be. I don't think she has the experience that a lot of the other girls have, so she just uses her strength to her advantage. But she looks really good. I feel like she could be a good heel, a really dominant woman in the division for sure. Then we had the Good Brothers versus John Moxley and Eddie Kingston. Eddie Kingston's coming out the ramp, or the, what do they call it? The entranceway. They call it something on the show. I can't remember. But they attack Eddie Kingston when he's coming out before the match. So then John Moxley runs out. And they just fought for like 10 minutes on the floor. Probably not that long, but it felt like 10 minutes. The match hadn't started forever. And I was like, damn, they are fighting for a long time on the floor. And then finally, Anderson, I think he threw in Moxley, and then they finally started in the match. Moxley won the match, but Gallows immediately went in for the kill, basically. And then Omega comes out while they're doing work on Moxley and Eddie Kingston to make it a 3-on-2. And the Young Bucks come out, which earlier in the night, they had some words with Don Callis about how Don wasn't convinced that the Young Bucks were the same team now as they were in New Japan, which I agree they aren't, but I think they're pushing towards a thing where the Young Bucks are going to eventually turn heel and join Kenny Omega and the Good Brothers, which I'm all for it. It'll just end up being Bullet Club US. They'll probably call it something like that, but not this night. The Young Bucks stood there while Gallows and Anderson and Omega threw up the Click salute, or the Bullet Club salute, which is the click sign, and they just walked away and argued for a second. But yeah, not on this night are the Bucks joining with Omega, but I do think it's happening. They are foreshadowing it. The Young Bucks, they kind of look around and act like, oh man, what if I do this? They kind of do one of those things. So I think eventually they're going to team up and just form the big group, which it'll be cool. I mean, we've seen it before, but we haven't seen it for a while. So it'll be nice to see again, I think. We had Tony Schiavone come out to interview Sting and Darby Allin. They come out. Darby is the only one that talks here out of both of them. Sting doesn't say a word. Darby's talking, and Jake Roberts comes out with I can't think of his name all of a sudden. The Murder Hawk. And he does the same thing that he did last week, where he said that I'm taking my own time, and he acted like he was sorry. He said, I actually like this line. He told Darby Allin that he is the most indie-rific thing that's ever happened to the wrestling business, and I actually like that. I laughed at that. That was funny. But kind of the same deal when he interrupted Sting last week. So I think that they're building up to something with Sting and the Murder Hawk. Yeah. Why can I not remember this guy's name? I just keep thinking the Murder Hawk. I keep seeing his face. I watch him every single week on AEW. I remember watching him on TNA. I'm literally looking this up right now because I'm stupid. Lance Archer. Lance Hoyt. I'm stupid. Sorry. I guess you could call that a little blooper there. But, yeah, Lance Hoyt. That's who the Murder Hawk is. So, Lance Hoyt taking his time once again. Looking like they're just going to have a match. Probably not going to be anything too big, but it'll be fun, I'm sure. He leaves, and then Team Taz comes out. So this was a little weird, but it was cool. There's foreshadowing everywhere around this, which leaves everything to speculation. And that's always what you want in wrestling. You don't want to know what's going to happen. You don't want to see the future, which is something that happens a lot these days. And I've been watching wrestling since I probably before I could even talk. And sometimes I will literally call to a T what is going to happen in a match or in an angle or what's eventually going to happen here in a few months, because it's like a cycle in wrestling, especially in WWE. They just recycle everything. All angles are recycled at some point. It's like, you know what we could do? We could do the angle where Hulk Hogan, you remember when Hulk Hogan and Macho Man Randy Savage wrestled over Miss Elizabeth? We could do that. Imagine doing that again with two superstars. And it's like it's always going to be recycled. They could do it. They could modify it to make it more modern and not seem like it is from 1989. But like I said, shit just gets recycled all the time. And that's why I am enjoying this AEW episode as much as I did. Because everything is so open to... It's like, what's going to happen here? So many different things could happen. You have Team Taz that came out, and Brian Cage takes the mic from Taz immediately, says he wants to talk to Sting. He said that he respects Sting. With or without the bat, you're an icon. And he said... before that, he said, Ricky Starks is wrong. And then Ricky Starks kind of goes crazy for a second. But Team Taz is pissed. He kind of drops the mic and turns back to them, and they're like, what the hell is wrong with you? Why would you say that? So I'm curious what they're going to do here. Brian Cage he's good. He looked tremendous in the street fight. And by the way, if you have not seen that street fight, find a way to watch it. Sting and Darby Allin versus Ricky Starks and Brian Cage. It's awesome. From Revolution. Yeah, I'm really excited to see what happens here. Team Taz is pissed. And then Phoenix versus Angelico. I really like Angelico. I'm glad that they're using him on Dynamite more. I know Jack Evans. I think Jack Evans is hurt. He's been running around being a weirdo on certain occasions. But I don't know if he's hurt or if he's just... not wrestling at the moment. They don't have anything, but I'm glad that they had Angelico on here. Wrestling Phoenix. This was just a really good match, as you would expect if you know either of these wrestlers, two high flyers. Angelico's like 6'2" or something, and he does insane stuff. Just absolutely crazy stuff in matches that you would lose your mind watching. Look up his Lucha Underground stuff. He's done some stuff in, I think, CMLL and AAA. But yeah, he's really good. He's wrestled all over the world. Yeah, really like Angelico. I honestly just like TH2, the Hybrid 2. That's just a really freaking good tag team. So that was basically what happened. The filler in the episode, you could say. And then these were... This was the A+ segments, in my opinion, for AEW on Wednesday. We had, which this was expected, and it was unfortunately leaked, because this episode was filmed, I believe, last Thursday, and the Pinnacle. MJF's new group, the Pinnacle, has finally arrived, and I have to say, I did not expect this. I thought, and if you listened to a prior episode, I think I mentioned that I thought Cody Rhodes was going to kind of leave the scene a bit. He was going to go off and maybe aid an injury or do a TV show or something, and then come back and form like a new Horseman. Well, it turns out MJF just did the same thing. And, well, not the same thing, but MJF did it, because now I don't think Cody's going to do it. Tully Blanchard is finally, I feel like, going to get some of that, not like J.J. Dillon, because J.J. Dillon didn't talk as much, but I feel like he's going to actually be a real manager here. Finally. He came out and everybody looked like official, professional. They're all in suits. Tully's great. MJF is the perfect leader for these guys. You've got Wardlow, Shawn Spears, FTR, and that is, I mean, those five guys are going to be a force. There's no doubt about it. And like I said, the Four Horsemen thing happening, this is Four Horsemen-esque. I don't care that there are 5 members or 6 members here, including Tully. This, I hope, will be the next 4 Horsemen. I would love for this to be that way. I know I say this all the time. You can't get your hopes up in wrestling, but I feel like we can get our hopes up for this, because it looks like we are going to see some serious stuff going on with the Pinnacle. Christian finally speaks. If you remember, Christian made his AEW debut. Christian Cage. He starts off this promo, and it's backstage. He starts off this promo talking about what it is to be a workhorse in wrestling, the workhorse, and not the workhorse, but just a workhorse. And then he says he's not a workhorse; he is the workhorse. Kind of pushing this outwork everyone thing. Which I'm curious if he's going to use the same wrestling style or just be the same Christian, or if this is going to be a totally different Christian. It seems like we're going to see a different Christian here. I kind of hope we see a new style of wrestling here, since he's getting older and he may not be able to do some of the stuff that he did before. We might see a more technical side here of Christian, which could be really, really cool. He reminds everyone that he's after the AEW title. He's not here to screw around. He finishes off by saying he's simply here to outwork everyone. So that's going to be something big. I'm sure we're going to see a lot of outwork everyone t-shirts out in the crowd and everywhere. So glad Christian's in AEW. I'm glad he's in a title picture and they're not just putting him somewhere random. That's where if he's going to be on AEW, that's where he needs to be. So get it done, give him the title, and see where it goes. Now, the main event for AEW Dynamite is, in my opinion, going to be, and I'm going to write this down on my notebook right now. This is going to be a 5-star match. This will be rated a 5-star match, and if not, it will be rated a 4 or above. Britt Baker versus Thunder Rosa in an unsanctioned lights out match. Main event of AEW. First of all, hats off to the ladies. Give them a round of applause for main eventing the show, because that's what it's all about. It doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman. You gotta give the women the drive to also give it all they've got, because if you always just put them in the middle of the card or at the beginning of the show, I feel like you're gonna get the same match every time. It's not gonna be the barn burner that you want to see. This match was freaking amazing. I cannot tell you enough. Go to AEW's YouTube page and go watch this match right now. Pause my freaking podcast and go watch the match and come back and keep listening to what I have to say about it. For real, pause it and go watch the match right now. I'll wait. Hey everybody, I just wanted to take a quick second to shout out Anchor. Without Anchor, I would not be making this podcast. It is free, and I'm making this straight from my phone. It's super easy. You can edit it. You can split sound. Say you want to split up one segment into two, you can go ahead and do that. You can add sound to one and the other doesn't need it. Whatever you want, basically. You can send it to Apple, Spotify, Google, and many, many other platforms. You can make money off of it without any minimum listenership. You can go just right in and start your own podcast. It's super easy. It's free, and basically everything that you need in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Let's get back to the podcast. All right. So, getting back into the Britt and Rosa match. Rosa sets up a lot. This is what you're going to start seeing on the YouTube channel because they didn't show the whole match on there. But they wrestle a little bit, and then Thunder Rosa sets up a ladder in front of Britt Baker, and she's sitting down in the corner, and she does a dropkick onto the edge of the ladder, hitting it into Britt Baker's face. And I think she blades here, but Britt Baker bleeds. And she does an amazing job just working the crowd, working everything when it comes to bleeding. You got to show it to the camera, make sure the camera sees it. Rebel's on the outside. She's screaming. It's great. She gets a second wind, and at some point she goes and she has Rebel grab her tacks. She dumps the tacks, and this was just an all-around great match. There's a few spots, like I said, the ladder spot where Britt Baker gets busted open, the tack spot. Britt Baker takes a power bomb on the tacks from Thunder Rosa. And for some reason, I can't remember who does it, but one of them hits what is it called? It's like an AA, like an FU or something like that, off the top rope, but with when you hang on to them with a flip. I can't remember the name of their move, but they do that onto the ladder, and I was like, damn. There's a few more spots where you can tell they are putting every damn thing they can put into this match to make sure everyone watching and everyone there gets the main event that they paid for. Like, this was a match of the year. This is a hardcore match. There's 4 or 5 times where my mouth was just wide open watching this match. Just like, what am I watching? I'm watching the craziest women's main event I've ever seen. And it's the greatest thing I've ever seen. I loved it. That was AEW. That was the main event right there. And that couldn't have been anything but the main event. So moving on. And speaking of moving on, that is what NXT is about to be doing. NXT is moving to Tuesdays. I can't remember if USA is going to be still in this here. If NXT is still going to be on it, USA on Tuesdays, but whether or not it is, it's going to be on Tuesdays now. So, don't know why they did it. I'm curious if it had to do with AEW kind of wrecking their ratings for a while. But, nonetheless, I'm pumped for Finn Balor versus Karrion Kross. That's going to be amazing. They kind of started off the show teasing that a little bit. They arranged a tag team title match actually, for the main event of this with Kross and Balor versus Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch, which was a main event, which we'll get to here in a second. But we had Austin Theory and Dexter Lumis in the first match. The first thing that I can say, and one of the only things I'm going to say about this match, is there was about 5 minutes worth of commercials during this match. and I'm not kidding, I skipped through so many commercials. It was insane. And I know why. They just loaded this match with all the commercials because this match was okay. It was a very okay match. That's all I got to say about that. We had Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly going back and forth at each other again. Adam Cole's calling out Kyle O'Reilly to come out to the ring, and William Regal comes out, says he's not coming out. Kyle O'Reilly's on the screen over here. He'll talk to you over here. So they go back and forth. Kyle O'Reilly's talking about how he is going to basically end Adam Cole and show him what it's going to be. And Adam Cole then jumps out of the ring and basically says, I'm going to go find Kyle myself. And I thought they were going to go on with this, keep on with the cameras, maybe follow him, and then they just moved on. They moved on to Raquel Gonzalez and Dakota Kai coming out to the ring. And Io Shirai comes out and hands Raquel Gonzalez a contract for a title shot. This was very exciting for me. I had a feeling this was going to happen, going back to me expecting things sometimes, but as soon as I saw Io come out with that binder and the way Dakota Kai was gesturing herself in front of Raquel Gonzalez, I was like, Io's just going to walk right past her. And that's exactly what she did. Io walked right past Dakota Kai and handed Raquel Gonzalez that contract for the title. And I am looking forward to that because I said in the last episode, or an episode before last, that I could tell they were definitely pushing Raquel Gonzalez. They were going to, or they are going to, put the strap on her eventually. Because, I mean, look at her. She is like an Amazon. She looks great. She knows how to wrestle. And I really hope soon they do this match and they don't take too long building this up. But as long as it is, if they do take a long time, it needs to be a good build-up. It needs to involve Dakota Kai turning on Raquel Gonzalez or vice versa. I don't want to see Dakota Kai still in Raquel Gonzalez's corner while she's facing Io Shirai, because I just feel like we've seen that too many times where the team ends up breaking up because one of them gets the title rather than the team breaking up because one deserves the title more and they don't want to wait. So, I don't know. That's just me. But we have a match with one of the members of Imperium, and I can't remember his name right now. I'm not all that familiar with Imperium. They just recently started showing up on NXT again. But Walter is their leader, and he is known for not wanting to come to the U.S., and I don't blame him. He makes a fine living wrestling in Germany, and the WWE UK, NXT UK. I believe he's Austrian. But we have Walter arriving in NXT. When I heard the music pop up, I was like, oh boy, he has arrived. And I think he's here to stay. They took out Ciampa, and Ciampa has been tagging with Tim Thatcher. And Thatcher used to be in Imperium and overseas. So I'm seeing the way they're pushing here, and they're going to have Thatcher turn on Ciampa and join Imperium again. And that is going to be amazing for NXT. I will watch every single week if they push that. I sure will. We had LA Knight making his debut here. He looked pretty good, but in the middle of the match, Bronson Reed comes out, grabs his jacket that he's been wearing every single week whenever he shows up, and he puts it on. Bronson Reed's a real big guy. He puts the jacket on and just rips it in half. He just flexes, and he doesn't even have to flex. He can just move his arms and just rips it in half. This is kind of fueling their feud a little bit more. Bronson Reed interrupted LA Knight during a promo he was cutting a couple weeks ago. So I'm curious to see where this goes. We had the main event, Finn Balor and Karrion Kross versus Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch for the NXT Tag Team titles. At some point during this match, Danny Burch gets hurt. Legit hurt, I believe, because he is not seen after that point. They cut to him once, and he's got one of the trainers or one of the medical staff sitting there with him, and he looks like he's actually in pain. And then you don't see him in the match again. He's just not there. I don't know if they had to improv this because he got hurt, or if they were going to do this anyways, but there was a point where Finn accidentally knocks over Scarlett Bordeaux. Yeah, that's her name. Yeah. And Karrion Kross sees it and goes after Finn, his tag team partner for the night, costing them the match. And then Kross basically just takes everybody else out. He is, I believe, going to take the strap off Balor. Deservingly so. He lost it due to injury. He did not actually lose the title. So I am hyped to see that. That was the NXT episode. It always feels so short to me because it is short. It's like an hour and a half. Whereas when you're watching AEW or Raw or SmackDown, it's 2 hours. But speaking of Raw and SmackDown, which I don't watch anymore, I'm just going to be honest. I did not watch last week or this week. I just watch Raw Talk and Talking Smack. That literally fills me in on everything, to the point where I don't have to care about anything that doesn't matter on the show, which is very good. I apologize for my creaky chair. But New Day are the new tag team champions, the 11-time tag team champions. We had R-Truth getting his 24/7 title back from Bad Bunny, because Bad Bunny says he won a Grammy, so here's your title back. Apparently, they did not want Bad Bunny to actually lose the 24/7 title in a match or the 24/7 rule, so they just had him give it to R-Truth. Because Bad Bunny's having a match at WrestleMania and they don't want him to look weak, even though he's literally never wrestled before in his fucking life. I apologize, but this is some of the weirdest thinking I've ever seen in my life. Like, he's not going to look weak. Why can't he just lose it after WrestleMania? Or, I don't know. I just felt weird about this. It doesn't really matter. Just me, I guess, being nitpicky again. But this makes R-Truth a 51-time 24/7 champion. I said that correctly. R-Truth is a 51-time 24/7 champion. 51. We had Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke come on Raw Talk here, and they're very confident. They're seeming like a really good team. They are looking for a title shot. And I like that. I like Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke. They are both really entertaining. They are incredibly attractive. And they know how to wrestle. They can have a good match. So I would not be upset if they got a title shot or if they even won the titles. I feel like the titles don't matter right now, and they need to put them on somebody that might get more eyes on the titles and make them matter a little bit. I don't know if that's them, but maybe just somebody else. Drew McIntyre came on. He is ready for Bobby Lashley at WrestleMania, but we've also got Sheamus versus Drew McIntyre at Fastlane. Sheamus and Drew McIntyre had a no DQ match on Raw or on SmackDown last week, and it was absolutely crazy. Or was it Raw? Yeah, it was on Raw. It was insane. They cut each other up just from beating the shit out of each other, and it was a really entertaining match. I recommend going to watch that. But yeah, Sheamus is up first before he can get to Bobby. I don't know if Drew's going to take the title off Bobby. I assume he will. It's like probably like a 99% chance it's going to happen. But I would like to see them do more with Bobby Lashley with the title. He definitely is gaining some steam as far as fan-wise, and a lot of people are shouting out Bobby Lashley for winning the title, sort of similar to Kofi Kingston. But yeah, it'd be cool to see them do something a little bit longer with Bobby Lashley in the title after WrestleMania. Now we got Talking Smack. Sami Zayn comes on with his documentary crew, which is actually real. They are actually filming stuff for Sami Zayn, and there's going to be a documentary coming out soon, apparently. He is not just working a gimmick here. This is a move that apparently he brought up to WWE and said, let's do a documentary where they just follow me around while I act like a fucking asshole. And let's put it out. And apparently they're doing it. He proves that his conspiracy that everyone's out to get him is correct because he quotes Paul Heyman. And that's basically it. I'm looking forward to see what more comes with this Sami Zayn documentary. That should be really fun. Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax come on Talking Smack as well. I think they're going to break up soon. They are the women's tag team champions right now, but Shayna Baszler just looks like she hates Nia Jax, and they just show more signs of cracking here. With Reginald by Nia's side here, and Nia being absolutely infatuated with him. Every sentence has something to do with him. They're going to eventually turn on each other. And now we have the best part of the show. Big E comes on. Big E is Big E Langston again. He is looking mean again. It's a scary hombre. He comes out just serious as ever. He looks at Paul Heyman and asks him if this is what he wanted. And Paul said, no, this isn't what I wanted, but you can get insurance, basically what he says. He says, there's another Uso. That doesn't mean you have to be against Roman Reigns. But that is not what Big E wants. Big E says he wants to be Intercontinental Champion through WrestleMania into next year's WrestleMania and face Roman Reigns for the title and become double champion. He said that. And by God, I will take it. If that happens, it'll be the best thing to happen all year when it happens. If it happens. But that was Raw Talk. And that was Raw and SmackDown, basically, in a nutshell. Reminder about Peacock once again. I'm pretty sure it is on Peacock now. I'm pretty sure their transitioning has started. Because every time you watch something on the WWE Network, it says WWE Network is now on Peacock. And I don't know if they're going to just do away with the network or keep the network as an app and just run it through Peacock, where you can pay for the network, which I guess it would kind of be just a kind of pointless to do that. But who knows? We'll still see what's going to happen. I already paid for my Peacock. It is all set and ready to go. And ready for WrestleMania and Fastlane. So, also, WrestleMania tickets were supposed to be on sale this week. And they're not. WrestleMania is a month away. And the tickets are not on sale yet. Because of some COVID restrictions or something. There are supposed to be 34,000 fans there. There was originally supposed to be 20,000 per night, 24,000 per night. And then they upped it to 34. But now there's other places like Florida and Texas that are doing way bigger. So I don't know how many people they're going to have there, or if they're just going to have any people at all, because they don't have any tickets for sale. So they better get their shit together, because if they want anybody there, put your tickets on sale. And speaking of WrestleMania, the Hall of Fame as well. It's the same thing. So far, we've got Molly Holly, and this week, Eric Bischoff has been announced for the Hall of Fame. Those are two incredible picks for the Hall of Fame. I like those. I'm always excited to see who they're going to add. They always had a tag team, and they always save the main eventer, you can say, for last. So, on to Impact. We had Impact Sacrifice on Sunday. Sorry for the paper. This was the first pay-per-view that I paid for, other than Revolution, in a long time. Revolution, it's crazy that I was excited for Revolution enough to pay for it, and it is even crazier that I was excited enough for Impact to order their pay-per-view. But it was $10. Fight TV is awesome. I was sleeping on Fight TV hard. I don't understand what was wrong with me, but I finally got Fight TV. I ordered the pay-per-view, and they got everything on there. They got ROH stuff on there. They got a bunch of indie stuff on there. A bunch of companies I've never heard of. So if you're into that type of stuff, definitely check out Fight TV. And a lot of it's free. But, yeah. If I would have known about Fight TV, I wouldn't have missed the first 3 matches, because Impact Plus wouldn't let me order the pay-per-view. And it's cheaper on their service. It's like $7, where I spent $10, which I don't care, but their service just wasn't working. But when I caught it, I caught Rhino joining Violent by Design, which is Eric Young's new little group he's got with Joe Doring and whatever the guy's name is. He looks like a dude from NXT, I swear. But Rhino joining Eric Young. A little bit of a TNA throwback here to some OG days. But that was pretty cool seeing that. And then we had Brian Myers and Eddie Edwards in a holds harmless match or something like that. It's a no holds barred match. That's literally what it is. That was a good match. We had Eddie Edwards winning that one. They did a superplex onto a pile of chairs, which is a really good spot. Matt Cardona came out. Brian Myers is a heel right now. He is Bad Mood Brian. He's not in a good mood, and Matt Cardona is in a good mood. So he helped Eddie Edwards stay away from Hernandez in this match, who has been hanging around with Brian Myers. Hernandez came out to help, and Cardona came out to keep him from that. Eddie wins. Pretty good match. It was alright. Then we had the tag team, the Knockouts tag team title match. Fire and Flava versus Grace and Jazz. Jordan, Grace, and Jazz. This is an okay match. I didn't follow the storyline, so I can't say much about it. It was an okay. It wasn't that exciting for me, but I enjoyed it. It was entertaining, to say the least. TJP versus Ace Austin for the X Division title. This was a really good match. I enjoyed this a lot. TJP is a super underrated wrestler, let go by WWE a few years ago, and don't know why. He is the inaugural Cruiserweight champion of WWE, and, well, of the newest iteration of Cruiserweight Championship. But yeah, he was let go by WWE for some reason. And I don't remember why, if it was something to do with him or just didn't have any created for him, but he has been doing really good in Impact as Manic and teaming up with Suicide and doing that stuff over the past year or two. And Ace Austin is awesome. He won the Super J Cup. He won another tournament, and then he had to win another match in order to even get this match. So he had to win 3 matches to get his title shot for the X Division title. And he won. I was going to flip shit if Ace Austin won all those matches just to lose one and not get his title. Really good match, like I said. Super well deserved for Ace Austin. And yeah, I might go back and watch that match just to find the little parts that I may have missed before. But yeah, next we had the Knockouts Championship match. It was Deonna Purrazzo, the champion, versus ODB. Another okay match. I had no idea why ODB came back, first of all. I don't know if it's just a thing where they didn't have anybody storyline-wise for Deonna to face. I don't watch Impact every week. I catch it on social media and I catch little tidbits. But even then, I didn't get why ODB came back to get a title shot. But it's cool. I like ODB. I've always liked ODB since she was one of the OG Impact Zone, the Spike TV knockouts. So I'm not going to complain about it that much, but I was just not sure why she got the title shot. Then we had the Impact tag titles. The Good Brothers, which I mentioned on AEW. If you don't remember, Impact and AEW they're doing cross promotion right now, which leads into the next team that was in this match. The contenders for the titles, FinJuice, David Finlay and Juice Robinson, who are from New Japan. So, to round everything off here, and that's not even all the companies that are in this little faction of wrestling here. We've got AEW and Impact. We've got New Japan and Impact. We got AEW in New Japan. DDP, or DDP, DDT promotion, which is where Maki Ito is from. Joshi. Oh, excuse me. Sorry for that. Joshi Pro, which is the women's promotion in Japan. And who else? I believe that's it. I think that's it. Maybe Pro Wrestling Noah. I think that might be in there too. But there's a lot of wrestling companies right now that are doing cross promotion with each other. And guess who isn't? Just guess. Just say it right now. WWE. They don't care. They could give a shit about other companies. And I think if there's a time that they should, it's now. Because all these companies coming together, all these minds put together, are going to make some very good wrestling that we are not only not ready for, but never thought we'd see. I think we're going to see some great wrestling come out of this. So, to get into the match, the Good Brothers, Gallows and Anderson versus Finn Juice. This is a pretty good match. I figured this would just kind of be a throwaway match. Like, hey, we're going to let Finn Juice come to TNA and contend for the tag team titles for a couple matches and then send them back. They won. They won. Finn Juice are now the Impact Tag Team Champions. And this week on Impact, they came out and fought Triple XL. Won. And the Good Brothers came out, offered a rematch to the Finn Juice. And they said, no, we're going back to New Japan with the titles, and we're going to go defend them there. So, they are really milking the cross-promotion here, and I am digging it a lot. This is history, honestly. Finn Juice winning these titles and taking them to their promotion. Not a lot of times has this ever happened. We had like the Dudleys do it. The Dudleys did it in Japan. I'm pretty sure they won the IWGP tag titles and maybe brought them on Impact once. I don't know if they ever brought them on the show, but Impact is doing some good things along with AEW and New Japan. I think New Japan is still on Access TV. If you don't know how to watch that, Impact is on Twitch or Access TV as well. Yeah, I think they're both on Access TV. And then obviously you've got Raw and SmackDown on Raw, respectively, and SmackDown. Raw being on USA, SmackDown being on Fox. That is every Wednesday and then, every Monday and every Friday, and then NXT is on Wednesdays until they move to Tuesdays on USA. Yeah, that was kind of what happened this week in wrestling as far as television goes. There's a few things that happened outside of television, though, that were pretty spicy. Before that, I do want to start a new segment, though. I thought it would be cool that every week I look up a pay-per-view, whether it be from WWE, WCW, ECW, AEW, TNA Impact, TNA/Impact, ROH, whatever it be. I want to look up the date sometime during the week if I can find it close. If I can't find an exact date, I'll find it close, where today just had to be a close one. But I want to do pay-per-view of the week, where I pick a pay-per-view that if you choose to, you should go watch. Today's is a little long, with it being one of the greatest, if not the greatest, WrestleMania of all time. WrestleMania 18. This was March 17th, 2002. Hulk Hogan and The Rock fought here. We had Stone Cold and Scott Hall. Rob Van Dam starts it off against William Regal for the Intercontinental title. It's a good all-around pay-per-view. And with it being WrestleMania, it is awesome. Now, I said it's one of the greatest, but in my opinion, it is not the greatest. WrestleMania 17 is my favorite. That is by far, hands down, my favorite WrestleMania. But yeah, go watch that pay-per-view. I'm going to keep doing this. It's not just going to be WrestleManias. It'll be random stuff. I just wanted to pick more of a popular one for the first. I watched it today, so I am passing the proverbial torch to you. Now it's time for you to watch WrestleMania 18. So get your ass on the network and go do that. If you know who Jim Cornette is, let me get ready for this. You know he has some hot takes. He is not one to mince words. He does not beat around the bush. He says exactly what he thinks about wrestling. He has been in the wrestling business for, I don't know, since the 70s, late 70s, I think. I think he started out as a photographer as a teenager, and then he became a manager, and he's been a manager or part of wrestling ever since. He managed one of the greatest tag teams of all time, the Midnight Express. He's managed numerous champions, whether it's tag team champions, intercontinental champions, European champions, Vader, British Bulldog, Owen Hart, the Rougeau brothers, I believe he was manager for. He is one of the greatest managers of all time, but like I said, he is not one to care about how you feel when it comes to his opinion. Recently on his podcast, the Jim Cornette Experience, he was referring to Kip Sabian and Penelope Ford. Now, none of this is anything I've said. I am going to be quoting Jim Cornette here. But it was about the look and the gimmick of Kip Sabian and Penelope Ford. He described them as a middle school teenager and his slut girlfriend. Now, I need to remind you, once again, Jim Cornette is not one to care about anyone's opinion, but he's also not one to just completely demolish someone personally because of a character that they play that may not have anything to do with how they are in real life. I've been listening to Jim Cornette for a long time, I'm just going to be honest, and he may sound like an absolute dickhead, but a lot of the stuff that he says isn't far from the truth. He's not saying anything super controversial here, and he's not saying anything that anybody that watches AEW hasn't thought or hasn't said, oh yeah, that's what they are, because that's their character. Their character is the stuck up, like, high school guy or middle schooler, whatever he said, and his slutty girlfriend. And that's not saying that's what she is. That's saying what their character is. So, to get into what happened, Jim Cornette says that. And Twitter goes absolutely apeshit. Because Miro, Rusev, gets on Twitter and is pissed. He's pissed that Jim Cornette called Penelope Ford a slut. Which, respectfully to everyone, in my opinion, I don't think he called her personally that. I think he was speaking on her character in wrestling, her gimmick, specifically, and nothing else. But Miro goes to Twitter and basically threatens Jim Cornette and says, I'll come to your basement or wherever you are. And then Penelope Ford gets on Twitter and she just lays into Jim Cornette. You don't hear anything from Kip Sabian, Penelope Ford's actual husband, but nonetheless, you still have both of them going at Jim Cornette on Twitter, who, for one, doesn't have an actual smartphone. So he doesn't just get notifications on Twitter. So whenever he does, it's like in the morning, like when he wakes up or whatever. So I'm glad that I waited to hear his response to this, because he didn't respond on Twitter like I thought he would. It wasn't lengthy. It was pretty short, but he responded in I think it was almost an hour chat on his podcast about this incident that happened. And once again, I don't see where he's wrong here. First of all, he's a wrestling critic. That's what he's done all of his life. And he does it every time on his podcast. Everyone knows, first of all, he doesn't like AEW. Everybody knows that. He doesn't like a lot of wrestling. But he likes AEW enough to at least watch it. He doesn't watch SmackDown. At least I'm pretty sure. He doesn't watch a lot of wrestling whatsoever. He just reads about it and he gets told about it on Twitter. So, he doesn't care enough to be there. I gotta watch this. I gotta see the stupid shit they're gonna do. He doesn't care like that. So, I'm listening to his response, and Brian Last, who is his co-host on The Experience, says that he called him and said, "You are trending on Twitter." And apparently his response was, "Oh, what'd I do this time?" And he tells him. And Jim Cornette is helping a couple guys at his house dig a trench in front of his yard. And he's overseeing these guys working on it. And he tells Brian, he goes, "Well, I'm going to go back to digging this trench." He could give a rat's ass about who is talking shit about him on Twitter. He doesn't care. Not only does he not care, Jim Cornette thrives off this shit. He's made a career off making other people look stupid when they come at him. Like, I'm sorry if you don't like Jim Cornette, and I'm talking about him a lot, but I don't think I'm saying anything that isn't accurate here. Jim Cornette on the microphone is like no other. That's why they put him on so many people, because some guys can't talk, and Jim Cornette can talk better than 10 guys put together. So, when you have that, it also comes with the ability to come back at people when they're coming at you in not only a calculated and swift manner, but a what's the word I'm looking for? Very just smart and calculated is the right word, to be honest. He didn't say anything that should have gotten anybody too upset, but it did. And because of that, Jim Cornette threw gasoline on the fire. He not only doubled up on what he said, he then said some things that he could have said about Penelope Ford and quote-unquote Pip Sabian. If you're interested in any of these things, you can go check it out. It's on Spotify, it's on YouTube, wherever you want to look at a podcast. I'm not going to repeat anything that he said because I like Kip Sabian and Penelope Ford and Miro. I think that they are a funny little group. I watch Kip Sabian on Twitch. I also watch Miro on Twitch. They're entertaining guys. And to go back to the AEW episode this week, I just realized that I forgot to mention something. Miro is looking very strong lately. He seems like he's not like he's not being pushed, but he's pushing himself. He's looking strong. He wants the title. And I like that. I'm digging it. I'm having a good time seeing that. So this in no way is a bash on them because I do enjoy their work in AEW and Rusev in WWE. So I'm just reporting what happened this week. That's all I'm doing. Jim Cornette and Miro had a bit of a word fight on Twitter. And then Jim Cornette kind of laid into him on his podcast. So, to put it into a nutshell, if you want to hear it, go check it out. So that's about it for the podcast. There's a few things that I'd like to go over, but before anything, if it's the end of the episode, we got to have a little bit of a vibe, a little bit of a music, a little bit of the musica. So let's go ahead and throw some of that on, and then I'll tell you a few things that are going on right now. Hit you with the socials. You know the drill. Let's get it. All right. So, let me know how you liked the episode. Give me your topics and questions that you would like me to go over. Do not be afraid. I want to hear them. Don't think it's stupid. Don't think it's something that I may already know. If I know it, I'll talk about it. I don't care. I love talking about wrestling. Like my mom, for instance, she wants to hear stuff about Ultimate Warrior. It's going to happen. I'm going to talk about the Ultimate Warrior at some point. I'll talk about Hulk Hogan at some point. I'll talk about whoever you want. It doesn't matter. Just let me know. Monarchathias on Twitter. MONNORCATHIAS. And we are the WWC. Also on Twitter. That is the main podcast page right there. I remember people wanting some merch, and I remember mentioning it. There's a bit of a delay on that right now. It is coming. It is going to happen, but just a little delayed. That's all. But kind of a personal thing here. Not wrestling related, but it's podcast related. I am building a PC. If you don't know, I don't use a PC to make this podcast. I use my phone. But I am building a PC next week. So if I do not have a podcast out this weekend, which I plan on it on Saturday before Fastlane, we will be having the next podcast recorded on the PC. So I will be giving a little bit of an update on that on the Twitter page, putting some pictures up, and yeah, that should improve the podcast greatly. I'll be able to do a lot of cool stuff with this, and hopefully get some distribution problems figured out with like iTunes and other places, so I can get it out on there. So yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. As always, this is the WWC podcast, Wrestling with Connor, and I hope to catch you next time.